Karen's cruel tear and the price of vengeance. The old photograph lay in tatters, its edges frayed like a broken promise. Clara's trembling hands held the pieces, her sobs echoing through the quiet street. Karen's smug laughter lingered in the air, a cruel reminder of the destruction she'd wrought. Clara had lived on Maple Lane for 50 years, her modest home a shrine to a life well lived. At 78, she was the neighborhood's heart, always ready with a warm smile or a plate of cookies for anyone who knocked. Her front porch was adorned with flowers, and on her living room wall hung her most treasured possession, a black and white wedding photo from 1965 capturing her and her late husband, Henry, in a moment of pure joy. The frame was worn, but the love in their eyes was timeless. Every evening, Clara would sit by that photo, tracing Henry's face, whispering memories to keep him close. Karen moved in next door 2 years ago, a whirlwind of complaints and entitlement. She was in her late 40s, with a sharp tongue and a knack for turning small issues into battles. The neighborhood bent over backward to appease her, mowing their lawns earlier to avoid her rants, keeping kids' playtime quiet, but nothing was ever enough. Karen's backyard parties were loud. Her trash cans overflowed onto others' lawns, and her demands for respect were relentless. Clara, ever patient, tried to befriend her, offering homemade jam and gentle words. Karen scoffed, calling Clara's gestures pathetic and her home a tacky museum. The trouble began over a trivial matter: Clara's rose bushes. Karen claimed they encroached on her property line by a few inches, though surveys proved otherwise. She demanded Clara uproot them, screaming across the fence about her rights. Clara, heartbroken but unwilling to fight, trimmed the bushes back, her hands shaking as she cut away years of careful tending. Karen wasn't satisfied. Those ugly flowers are still an eyesore. She sneered one afternoon, spraying weed killer over the fence, turning Clara's vibrant roses into wilted ghosts. Neighbors whispered, outraged, but Clara only sighed. She's just unhappy. I'll pray for her. The neighborhood's patience frayed as Karen's antics escalated. She reported a teenager's lemonade stand for unpermitted commerce, berated a mail carrier for trespassing on her driveway, and even called the police on a family's barbecue for excessive smoke. Each incident left the community more exasperated, but Clara urged calm, believing kindness could soften Karen's heart. Then came the day that broke her. It was a crisp autumn morning when Clara invited Karen over for tea, hoping to mend things. Karen arrived, arms crossed, her eyes scanning Clara's home with disdain. The conversation was strained. Clara spoke of her roses, her memories with Henry, and her hope for peace. Karen rolled her eyes, muttering about old people and their clutter. Then her gaze landed on the wedding photo. "This thing's hideous," she said, snatching it from the wall. Clara gasped, reaching out, but Karen was faster. With a malicious grin, she tore the photo in half, then into quarters, letting the pieces fall to the floor. "You need to move on, old lady," she said, storming out. Clara collapsed, clutching the fragments, her sobs heard by neighbors through open windows. The destruction wasn't just of paper, it was an assault on her heart, her memories, her love for Henry. Word spread like wildfire. Neighbors gathered, furious, but Clara, still clutching the torn photo, begged them not to retaliate. "She'll face her own consequences," she whispered, her voice trembling but resolute. The neighborhood, however, wasn't as forgiving. Among them was Mia, a quiet single mother who lived across the street. Mia had her own history with Karen, her son. Liam had been humiliated when Karen dumped his Halloween candy into the gutter, calling it begging. Mia, usually reserved, felt a fire ignite. She wasn't just angry for Clara. She saw Karen's cruelty as a pattern that needed to stop. Unknown to most, Mia was a paralegal with a knack for research. She began digging into Karen's past, uncovering a trail of complaints, lawsuits, and unpaid fines from previous neighborhoods. Mia's discovery was a twist no one expected. Karen wasn't just a nuisance, she was a repeat offender with a history of harassment. Mia rallied the neighbors, organizing a plan. They filed a collective complaint with the town, documenting Karen's actions, the weed killer, the false police reports, and now the destruction of Clara's photo. They gathered evidence, photos of the dead roses, witness statements, even security footage from a neighbor's camera showing Karen's smirk as she left Clara's house. Mia's research revealed something else. Karen had a pending court case for similar behavior in another town, which she dodged by moving. This time, the neighborhood wouldn't let her slip away. The tension built as the court date approached. Karen, oblivious to the gathering storm, continued her tirades, unaware that her actions had united a community against her. She posted on social media, mocking Clara's stupid picture and calling the neighbors jealous nobodies. Each post fueled the fire, drawing more support for Clara. A local journalist caught wind of the story, publishing an article titled, "The Neighbor Who Tore Apart a Widow's Heart." The piece went viral, painting Karen as the villain she'd become. Strangers sent Clara letters of support, some even offering to restore the photo, though its emotional damage was irreparable. The courtroom was packed on the day of the hearing. Clara sat in the front row, clutching the tattered photo, her face pale but composed. Karen strutted in, confident, her lawyer arguing that the incident was a misunderstanding and the photo just paper. The judge, a stern woman with a reputation for fairness, wasn't swayed. Mia took the stand, presenting the evidence, the footage, the article, and Karen's history of malice. The room gasped as Mia revealed Karen's past, including a restraining order from a former neighbor she'd tormented. Karen's smug facade cracked, her face paling as the judge's eyes narrowed. Then Clara spoke. Her voice was soft but steady, recounting the photo's significance, how it was taken the day she and Henry promised forever, how it held 50 years of love, loss, and memories. "She didn't just tear a picture," Clara said, tears falling. "She tore my heart." The courtroom fell silent, some jurors wiping their eyes. Karen shifted uncomfortably, her earlier bravado gone. The judge called a recess, but the weight of Clara's words lingered, a condemnation heavier than any legal argument. When the trial resumed, the neighborhood's unity shone. Neighbors testified about Karen's relentless cruelty, from the ruined roses to the humiliated children. The journalist, now a surprise witness, shared how Karen's social media posts showed no remorse, even mocking Clara's pain publicly. The evidence was overwhelming, painting a picture of a woman who thrived on control and chaos. Karen's lawyer tried to pivot, claiming she was stressed and misunderstood, but the judge cut him off. "This isn't about stress," she said. "This is about deliberate harm." The verdict came swiftly. Karen was found guilty of vandalism and emotional distress. The judge's ruling was a masterstroke of justice. Karen was sentenced to 6 months of community service at a local senior center, where she'd assist elderly residents like Clara. Additionally, she was ordered to attend mandatory therapy to address her pattern of destructive behavior. The courtroom erupted in applause as Karen's face fell, her entitlement shattered. She was also required to pay for a professional restoration of Clara's photo, though everyone knew its true value was beyond repair. As Karen was led away, Clara stood, her frail frame radiating quiet strength. Neighbors surrounded her, offering hugs and words of support. Mia, tears in her eyes, whispered, "We did it for you, Clara." The elderly woman smiled, holding the torn photo close. "You did it for all of us," she replied. The community left the courtroom united, their bond stronger than ever. While Karen faced a future of reckoning, her reign of terror was over, replaced by a humbling path she couldn't escape. Clara's roses began to bloom again the next spring, tended by neighbors who now checked on her daily. The restored photo hung back on her wall, its cracks a reminder of resilience. Karen, meanwhile, spent her days at the senior center, her complaints silenced by the weight of her sentence. Residents there, aware of her story, gave her no sympathy, forcing her to confront the humanity she dismissed. The neighborhood thrived, a testament to the power of unity over cruelty. What do you think was justice served, Or should Karen's punishment have been harsher? Share your thoughts. Clara's story deserves to be heard.